it's time for one more fuckboy of Miami. So for those of you who have been watching my channel, you know that I'm currently based in Miami. I'm actually only here for the summer, and then I'm going to keep traveling for the rest of the year. I work from home, which allows me to basically migrate wherever I want to go. So that's really cool. And this story, the start of the story goes back to this past winter. Last December 2017. So I was visiting Miami for a week just for vacation. At that point I knew that I was going to be that I got the new job and that I was going to be living in Miami for the summer most likely, and I just wanted to visit to make sure that it was the right move. I guess I wanted to get acquainted with the neighborhood to make sure it was really what I wanted. And it was a bittersweet trip. Obviously, going to Miami in December is always nice when you're coming from New York City where it's so cold and freezing and snowing and all those things. But that week, I had a few weird experiences with guys that I was talking to on apps. Just rude or flaky. One of them stood me up and, it just left a bad taste. And when you're traveling by yourself and that kind of thing happens, I think it affects you more than it would if you're with a group of friends or whatever, right? So strangely, in my last few days, might have even been this day before I left Miami, I started talking to this other guy on an app. Yes, I will say that it was Grindr, and he was so normal for Grindr that I was like, this is kind of nice. And he was really chatty and giving me suggestions of where to go and said that he would love to meet before I leave. And it was one of those situations where, then we started texting, and it was just a constant back and forth all day, where it's always nice when that happens, and it's so rare that somebody's engaging with you and asking you questions about yourself and that there's this easy flow. And it was like, okay, this is like somebody I want to get to know. I didn't have much time left in Miami, and this might sound kind of weird, but that last night I remember was a Friday, and so I wanted to go out. I wanted to check out the bars, the gay bars. And he seemed so authentic and cool and just nice that I was like, I don't want to ruin this by meeting this guy at a bar late at night. And I knew I was going to move to Miami in 2018. So I told him, look, I'm about to leave, but I would really like to build a connection with you when I come back. And I left it very ambiguous because I didn't want it to come off intense. Like, build a connection, I meant like, we can be friends, we can see where it goes. And he was on the same page. He was like, okay, I get it. And the day of my flight, he texted me and he remembered the time I was flying, I guess. And he said, safe travels, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but to me that was so kind that it's basically a total stranger who I've been talking to, who hasn't seen me and who just kind of like missed his chance to see me. A lot of people in that situation would be bitter and would be like, oh, whatever. But for him to be kind enough to be thoughtful enough to reach out on the day that I was traveling to say that, I was kind of like marked by that. I thought that was really cool because I feel like the only people who ever wish me safe travels are family members. And this is basically a total stranger. So I was like, this guy's cool. Like, let's see what happens. At that point, I had 4 or 5 more months until I moved to Miami. So every month or two, I would reach out to him just to kind of like check in and make sure he didn't forget about me, I guess. And the first 2 times or so, same thing, super friendly, conversational, whatever. And then about a month or so before I arrived in Miami, I reached out and he took like a day or 2 to respond, and then the conversation just didn't really go anywhere. But people get busy, I didn't think much of it. So I moved to Miami, and about a week after moving there, I'm like, hey, guess who moved into the neighborhood? I don't hear back. And then a few more days go by, or like a week goes by, and I reach out again just because I'm thinking maybe he missed my message, right? I don't hear back. And at this point, I think I was contacting him through WhatsApp, and on WhatsApp, you can see if somebody's read your message. So then I'm kind of offended because I'm like, okay, he's seeing that I'm reaching out. He knows who I am. Like, this is kind of a shame, right? Like, this guy who seemed so friendly and nice and who said he was down to get to know me now isn't so down. But still, I didn't let my ego get the best of me. I thought, you know what? Maybe he's dating somebody and he feels uncomfortable talking to me now, right? And me as a mature adult, I would still respond to something and be like, look, I actually am talking to somebody now, like, or dating somebody, like, that's what I would do. And also, I think it's weird when people can't become friends with someone because they're dating somebody else. I think that's really immature, but I get it. I assumed he was just dating somebody and I moved on and forgot about it. And a few weeks later, I went on Grindr and I see a tattoo that looks really familiar. And I'm like, is that him? And it says that he's single and that he's open to whatever. And I go back to the WhatsApp picture and I see the same tattoo hanging out of his like shirt or whatever he had on. And I'm like, okay, it's him. And I reached out again and I was like, well, look who's here or something like that. I still don't hear back. I said something like, I noticed your tattoo, like, how are you doing, whatever. He doesn't get back to me. But not only that, I realized a few days later that he updates his profile picture on WhatsApp so that his tattoo is no longer showing. So my comment, I guess, like, affected him enough that he was like, oh, let me make sure I'm like not recognizable, I guess. I was just so bummed that this person who seemed so nice and so genuine wasn't even responding. And I'm the kind of person, even when somebody doesn't get the hint or I'm just not into someone, but they keep making an effort or they ask for clarity or whatever, I always give it to them because I think that's the polite, respectful thing to do. It's always so disappointing to me when you meet somebody who seems special and you're like, this person's different from what I'm used to and from what I'm exposed to. And then you realize they're literally the same as all the other people. And that always like so hurts my feelings, but it's also the signs of a total fuckboy, right? Like, who wishes you safe travels and tells you that they really want to get to know you and that they're down to start a connection with you once you move there, even just to be like one of your new friends, and then they just totally disappear and aren't willing to communicate with you. Let me know if something like this has ever happened to you.